run down the edge of the star, just there, all the way down. Now, the bottom of the door is there, so I want the whole lot to be dark. In fact, I'll probably be better off using my little brush for that. Let's do that. Let's just use a little brush, black, brown, and then I can just go into that shadow area and sharpen off the bottom of that door. It's cool. You can see where the bottom of the door is then. That's when you go off to there. There. Cockerel somewhere crowing. Irritating thing. That's good. Now I just want to use the knife again with the light colour on. I'm just going to run across the bottom edge of the door. There. Put the bottom to it. Something like that. That's good. Now, there's actually a little chair just here as well. I'm trying to get this chair in there. Little fat looking chair. There. Let's see if you can see that. Now what I'll probably do, because that's in shadows and it's a bit too bright for the shadows, so what I'll do, I'll just have to take that off. I think I've just done it too bright. I should have done it a bit darker than I did. It's not a problem though. Look how easy it is to resurrect. You can actually pull that paint off the canvas. There. So easy to just correct mistakes with wet on wet. There's never a mistake that you can't correct, really. The beauty of it. So you guys are getting to see me do this real time. You get to see me make the mistakes, correct them, and hopefully that'll give you a good idea on how you can correct your mistakes by perseverance and learning these little techniques. Now this I'm going to do that little chair that I was talking about. A bit darker now, hopefully. There. Something like so. A bit of dark colour for the top edge. There. See, that still looks too bright on camera, but I'm not going to change it because it's right. And if I make that any darker, it won't stand out on here. Good. A bit of dark colour sometimes every now and again. In with the end of the knife. If you lose any dark anyway, just put that back in. Right, so we're now at the stage where I need to start thinking about the roof. Like I told you, down in here there's a nice shadow for this house, this cabin. So paint that shadow back in again, and then you can actually blend it just on the edges of the shadow to make it look soft. There. Actually go back in with that dark if you want now and again, and just pick up some of that light, and then you can take out any brush strokes you don't want. There. Nice one, happy with that. Right, here we go. The roof. So before I did it with a green grass colour. Now this one's, I don't know if it's a different time of year or because he did it ages ago, didn't he, and he's kept adding to it or whatever, but it's like a light brown colour. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use a fan brush. In fact, I'll clean this one off and then I'll be able to do it. Clean it off. Actually, clean it off really good and dry as well, so you don't want thinners with it. So I'm just going to get a bit of paper and I'll touch that. We're now almost onto the mega fun part, which is all this lovely foreground and greenery and that we've got in there. Now, for this roof, I'm going to use the same colour exactly, which is this one. I'm going to mix between the two, and I'm going to put a little bit of this yellow into that. See that? Put a bit of the yellow into the browns, tiny bit of dark sienna as well, and then you can grab some white and pull that through it. Something like that is what I'm after. Get a bit of that brown in there as well. Yeah. Don't want it to be really bright, but bright enough so it just stands out. And then just on that top, I'm going to start tapping some of that colour. I want to get the top edge nice and straight first, so I'm working on that top edge, getting it nice and spot on. Should go all the way along there to there. You will pick up the paint underneath while you're doing this, but it's not a problem. There. So then just tap all the way along that edge. I want it to look perfectly flat on the top of the roof. I'm being really careful not to go over that dark that I put in before. There we go. And then once you get underneath that, you can be a bit more, see that, you can just tap it, because by tapping it you'll allow some of that dark to still show through. You just don't want it to be flat colour. You want it to have some depth to it. Just don't worry about the edges just for now. I'm going to work in this centre area. Some character to it as this cottage, this little cabin, sorry. There's some real character to it. Now you can actually pull to a chiselled edge, push into that, get a ridge of paint, and with that ridge you can actually work on these edges and apply some of that colour just at an angle. There. And by doing that you can come out from it, you see that? And then I'll just use the corner of the brush just in there and paint in that dark area. You can always get brighter. Don't worry about it too much. I don't want it to be too over the top bright though. It's getting hit by the sunlight. It's got to have a slightly different hue to the logs as well that you've got on there. Careful, I'm having a V going around it. Same with that top part, just tap. It takes as long as it takes. You've got to think like that, because the effects you get is very much worthwhile. See, I've got a nice edge on that now. That's all we're working on while I was doing that, just the edge part. So that I got the angle correctly. You don't have to do it with a brush like I'm doing it here, you can do it with a different brush. Does that look on camera? Yeah, you can see that. Good. Now, again, both sides. Yeah, nice ridge, and I'm just going to work all the way along the bottom. That was tapping there. Leave a few little shadowed areas here and there on it, on the roof. There. Like I say, it looks a bit brighter on camera, but for me that is pretty much perfect. Yeah. So I'm just gonna use it. Sorry, just kick the camera. Just gonna use a little bit of that same colour and use it on the top of the water tower. Don't want it to be such a different hue of colour. Yeah, perfection. Happy with that. Now then, step back, have a look at what you got. Notice I'm always stepping back. Mega important. Get a clear perspective of what you're doing then. I'm going to actually get a tiny bit of dark. And I'm just going to go back in here and there and put a few little dark areas so it looks like the dark in between the logs. If you tap in too much and you lose the bits of dark in between the logs, just easy to put it back in like I just did then. Really simple. Now we're on to the bushes. Now this should be quite I'll finish this very soon, this picture. I've done the hard part. The hardest part's been finished. I'm going to run through that with a knife just to settle it down a bit so it's not quite as in your face. Same with that. Just that little seat that I'm doing here. I just wanted an indication in there of that seat. I don't want it to be too distinct. Just want it to stand out just enough. Good. Now there's actually a little bit around the edge of that, which is just the back part to it. Sweet. Buzzing. Right. Again, I want to use my small little tiny brush. I'm going to get the highlight colour I'm wanting. Again, this is the brown, black, dark sienna and white. Trying to make that stand out now as though it's being lit up by the sun. The more you go over it, the brighter it'll become. See there? Go over it again, it's a lot brighter. I want to make it look like the sun's just beaming off of there, like it is behind the cabin. Enough to do the whole area of this now. Just with this tiny little brush. So always you have to use just big huge brushes. Many a times I'll use a small brush. Just when you're coming backwards and forwards, you do it fast and you get a big area done still, but you get a lot of nice little detail out of that. There. Don't kill it all. Leave some of the variation in there, don't blend it all together too much. Something like so, and then what we're going to do, we're going to use a 1-inch brush. In fact, I'm going to actually start a new video for this area because I need to mix some more darks and I've not got enough black on camera, so I hope you guys are enjoying this. I certainly am, so I'll see you all soon.